Well, welcome back to the Cairo International Arena, here just outside downtown Cairo. It's time for the gold medal match in the women's team foil between Great Britain and the USA. Sorry, Great Britain and Russia. We've had the USA already. USA picked up the bronze. There we go. Stadium announcer has given you the names. I've been told that's not necessarily perfectly clear. Russia line up with Inessa Rodionova, Anate Shaginian, Ludmila Chenova, Tatiana Zadnova, and Nadija Paskaya, who did really well in her individual tournament, and Lyubov Mayarova. Great Britain, Amanda Baxendale, Marion Thomas, Sheila Anderson, Karen Hale, Claire Halstead, and Kristen Payne in the lineup. The referees are Ayad Megharay and Shaimar El Gamal. As you well know, I'm Karen Bashir, but I do have an expert commentator with me for the rest of this session. Ryan Delap, the USA referee here. You're not on duty for this one for good reason, but the USA, let's start with the USA. You've had a great tournament so far.
Oh yeah, USA has been doing really well overall. It's been a great tournament. It's amazing what these fencers can do. At their age, it's really impressive. They can still move and think just like some of the top fencers in the world.
Absolutely, and we've been talking throughout the championships how fencing is both a game with physical aspects and mental, cerebral aspects, and as these fencers get older, they not only tune in and dial in and draw from that cerebral pool, but they've also got a lot more experience. They've got the tricks in the book. But look, we're going to start here with the Category C fencers. 6 fights in a row. We'll start with Category C, move on to the A Category fencers, and then the B Category fencers. And as you well know, because you've been watching all week, we then rinse and repeat and go through that. Both teams have one substitution to make throughout this whole competition. So both teams have subs in all 3 categories. So we'll keep an eye on that as Claire Halstead of Great Britain starts on the right-hand side. Lyubov Mayarova of Russia starts on the left. Ryan, what's interesting about these, and we don't talk about every single hit. The fencers out there, the audience know what they're looking at. But what we've talked about all week here is how interesting this team format is, and how the setup and the order of how things come out. What are your thoughts on it?
It's definitely not a format that I've been familiar with, but it's really interesting the way that they have to. The first team that wins the flip can pick the order of the ABC. What age group goes first, and it's. So there's a lot of different, strategic aspects that go into it, as opposed to our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We see at open level. So I've asked everybody else, and I'm going to ask you, and the jury's divided, I have to say. Would you prefer to win the toss or lose the toss?
Absolutely win the toss. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone either says I'd absolutely like to win it or absolutely like to lose it.
I don't know. I'm interested what the argument is for losing the toss.
Because you essentially get to pick not only the last who's going to compete in the last bout, but you get a choice of the order of the remaining 2 fences.
I've got it mixed up. This is what I agree with. No, I agree with being able to pick the rest of the order.
Yes.
Is absolutely
so
more
losing the toss is...
Yes, so losing the toss in that case, yeah.
So it's interesting because it's... I don't get the other side as well, winning the toss. So
yes.
The argument is that you've got more of a chance of having your strongest fencer on last, and I suppose it does give you a chance to get rid of the strongest fencer from the other side first, but I'd rather have 2 picks than 1.
What's also interesting, because with the US today, I think, so Jeanette, who won gold, right? You might consider her one of the strongest fencers there, but she's also, more tired because she fenced longer the day before.
Good
so
point.
there's that aspect that plays into it as well. So I would rather pick more of the order, because then you have more say over who gets defense at what times, because fatigue is a bigger aspect in the veteran events.
And as you quite rightly say, you're going to labour that point. If you fenced really well and got to the latter stages, even though you're going to be the stronger fencer, especially category, it probably gets harder, category B and category C, to then come out and fence at the later stages in the team event.
And they all know what they're doing. So when even if you have a good day and you're playing really well before, fatigue is really going to play into that, because everyone in the bronze and gold medal matches is a very strong fencer, and strategically they really know how to take advantage. If you're tired, they smell that blood and they're going to take advantage.
Now the Russians had a very dominant semi-final against the Italians of all teams, a 30-8 win over them. Great Britain were behind at the halfway stage against the USA, and in fact it was Claire Halstead who came on for the fourth leg that turned things around for the British team. She put in a beautiful counter riposte that really, well set up, and it got the team on a roll, and they then dominated the final three periods. So the Great Britain are going to be riding high.
Yes. Well, it was a close match in the semi-final between Great Britain and the US. So Russia's been consistently on top of it today, and I think they've got a good momentum. Great Britain's had pulled out of some tight little spots, but Russia's just running along smoothly so far.
Yeah, really, really strong, and they have got good lineup, and a good foundation as well, as you say.
And they've got the pace right now. They have it set ahead already, so that's something where now already Great Britain's having to play into their game. It's amazing how many counter posts I've seen in the bronze and the semis. They're really able to still not just make a single intention action. They're really able to come out of actions right after they make their first attempt, which is a little surprising this late in the day too.
Yeah, but that sort of plays into what we were talking about earlier on with the fact that they are using more of that tactical element of the game, setting their opponents up. And with the fight craft they've built up over the years, it is still amazing, but it's become less of a surprise every day for me watching this tournament. This is my first Veterans Championship as a commentator, and it's day one I was blown away. Day two I was like, yeah, okay. And by day three I was like, come on. And it's great. It's really good to see.
Absolutely.
A 4-1 lead for the Russians at this stage is a good one. You'd rather be in that position, but the way that the British team come together, they've got a great unit. They
touch tips
give up.
Now, it was interesting before, I don't know if you knew, but last year they did this tournament in front of the pyramids, the finals. So they actually set up the strip in front of the
the men's foil World Cup. That was
for the World Championships, or yeah.
It was a Grom? No, it was a World Cup in the end in front of the pyramids. It was amazing, incredible, and the Egyptians are very keen to promote fencing.
And that's wonderful. I love that.
4-1 victory for Marova, and Halstead walks away to hand over to the Cat A fencer, Amanda Baxendale, and she'll go up against Inessa Rodionova, who we know is a fine talent. Yeah, so the Egyptians, they love their fencing. They had the first, they proudly boast their first African Olympic fencing medalist in Al-Aldin Abu al-Qasim, who was actually here in the opening ceremony. He was the very first African fencer to win an Olympic medal back in London 2012, the silver, I believe. They've had a World Cup, and they've had junior championships in Cairo for quite a number of years, and I'm pretty sure that if an African country is going to, the next African country to get a World Championships could well be Egypt. With World Cups in Dakar, we've had World Championships in South Africa. Egypt are putting on a great show here. This is just as good as any World Cup on the Open Senior circuit. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely. No, they've run this tournament really, really well. You know, it's decent crowd come over to watch, and did catch a couple cats sneak in here earlier, but that made for some really wonderful pictures. So it's no problems there. Wow, that's beautiful touch.
I think if you get to go to the pyramids, you're going to see a lot of cats there.
Oh yeah, well they used to be royalty here, right?
Yeah, well looked after. A feline fraternity.
Great Britain's having a little trouble putting the light on here.
Yeah, Baxendale has a tendency to come out on the attack. She likes to be the aggressor. And the thing is, sometimes she steps in and tries to find the blade with this circular cart action.
She has a consistent type of attack, and this is trouble against such a fencer as Radionova. She's ready for that consistently the last 3 touches, the same idea, right? She knows she's going to take the same tempo and the same motion. You know, very likely she's going to the same target. Let's just counter-attack in this moment. Probably looking for a switch now from this counter-attack to a fake and a parry. The pieces are kind of clear for this match so far. This kind of attack, this kind of counter-attack.
But what Baxendale impressed me with in the last round is that she actually took a step back in her second fight. She realised that she was coming in too quickly, too fast, from too close, and it was too obvious to her opponent. So she actually opened the distance before starting her attack, and it seemed to work really well. It looked like she may have had a hint of that.
A little bit, yes. Actually, I think you're right. It's just something she has to be concerned about, though. She does tend to tense up that back arm, and if the distance is close and that happens, there's chances for cards to come out. So hopefully she can keep that distance larger. Like you said, that's actually would be really good advice for her, because you see in this moments there's chances, you know, for cards this happens too consistently, and she's better at a bigger distance, like you said.
Oh, nice attack there from her. Just a little bit slower start that time.
Yeah, a little slower start, a slightly bigger distance. I mean, it's definitely where she needs to try to keep this game. Don't let Radionova step in.
Yeah, and then there was that, what you were mentioning before, that back arm.
And here that card comes out, I believe.
Good call there. The thing is, she's not deliberately trying to cover target. It's just the momentum as she turns around to, as the distance closes, her arm she actually needs to physically move it away from the target when she starts to turn.
Generally, if you're fencers, if you keep it relaxed, referees won't perceive the covering target as more, because it's, for us, it's almost all pattern recognition. And one of the main things that we'll flip that pattern on, flip that switch for us to consider it covering target, is when we see tension in the arm, and then any kind of shoulder rotating so that you're hindering or substituting target. So when that close distance comes, see right there, she actually fixed it. She pushed her arm away, like you said, so that, again, it shows us that she's not actually covering target. But if it stays, too close to her body and she turns inside and other fencer is trying to hit, that's where that switch comes on.
And it's super important right now. I mean, it's a great description of what we're talking about here, but it's super important now because it looks to me like she's varying this attack from further distance now with a second intention parry riposte, where she's trying to close the distance. Exactly. And if she doesn't get the back arm out of the way, she's going to get carded rather than perhaps getting a point on the riposte.
True. Oh, wow, nice counter attack. And there's also some, leniency when she gets the parry, because she did switch to that second intention. So when they get the parry, there's actually more leniency that we give on arm being in the way, because we will allow the right-of-way attempt before we consider, it as a problem, hindering the ability.
So if you were to miss your riposte, then and the other person tries to hit you and they hit your back arm, clearly they would have got a hit if it wasn't in the way.
Exactly.
The nuances of a very complicated sport explained very eloquently there by Ryan Delat, the American referee in the commentary box.
There's a lot of nuance, but to be honest, so I grew up in Alabama, so I spent my whole life describing fencing to, the Southern folk who've never seen fencing before. So that you find analogies that make it a little bit more simple, but because it's beautiful and there's so much nuance going on, but the reasoning behind, why we call our sport the way we do it is actually very simple. I mean, just like when we watch basketball, someone maintains possession and drives down the court to take a shot. That's like right of way. We have to maintain possession and hold on to that ball. It's just maintain attack.
Well, that's the second card coming out for Baxendale for covering target again. I think she may have got away with a couple in that one, but the second one means a hit for Rodionova, and Rodionova takes Russia into a 10-6 lead. But actually, there was only 5 apiece in that one, so Baxendale not doing too badly against a very strong Rodionova. So we move on to our category B fencers now, and it's Ludmila Chanova against Sheila Anderson.
I wonder if Great Britain will take a sub for Baxendale to avoid that card coming out, because that was a problem in the previous bout, or not the previous, but the semi-final.
Previous match, yeah. So look, I've got a quick question for you as we warm up into this third leg here. Russia looking strong. Clearly, as referees, you are being given an instruction here to absolutely follow the letter of the law, quite rightly, but there does seem to be an understandable amount of lenience coming in. So, for example, I'm not going to put you on the spot with talking about it right now, but in the sabre competitions we saw over the last few days, a fast start at senior level, immediate yellow card. There might be in the pools a little bit of leniency, a friendly warning, but you do it twice and you're definitely going to get a card.
Yes.
Here, just seems to be just a little bit more leniency on that particular rule, and I've seen it with other rules.
Yes, well, there's this concept with, so veterans, perhaps is a little hard of hearing sometimes. There's some other variables that we maybe consider or put into effect here, because there's a little bit of, reading the room situations as a referee that you have to know that you don't want a festival of cards and to get things out of whack. And truth is, most of the time, there's a false start. It's actually the referee's fault. It's something that we try to avoid. Sometimes they're trying to jump us on time, but a lot of times it's just our cadence, the way we say on guard, ready. We say it a little bit too, different, and that makes them jump. And sometimes it's not the person who steps over the line. Sometimes someone leans in a little bit, which draws the other person to the line. And when we're not sure, it's not really fair to guess.
Yep.
So sometimes there's like a kind of concept of like abstention with false start. So sometimes that leniency might not be leniency, but the fact that the referee is actually not sure who created it.
That's an interesting point. The other thing I've seen as well is that, and I think this adds a dimension you get at the Veterans Championships that you don't necessarily get at the Open Championships or the Senior Championships, as they're known, is the level of camaraderie, not just amongst the fencers within a team, but amongst the whole cohort of fencers here. 699 competitors at this tournament, and they respect each other greatly. But they're ultra competitive on the piste. And what I've seen is when someone steps out of their box, perhaps in a team competition, for example, the referees tend to be a little more, come on, got to stay in your box. Whereas at the Senior World Championships, it's immediate card. You've broken the rules.
Sometimes it's like the organizer, the heads, will set a different precedent. Like, it's unacceptable at this one. This at another, senior satellite event, they might be a little bit more lenient. But so the senior level, generally, especially your Senior World Championships, they're gonna immediately keep everything in line, and that's because, as well, just like you said here, there's so much more camaraderie with these veterans. They've known each other for so long. It's not like there's as much bad blood out there, but some with the senior guys, you have to keep things more controlled. Because senior guys and girls will get out of control if you allow it. These veterans, they're seasoned. They know the game. They're having a great time out here. They're playing chess like no other. I mean, they really know this game. But in terms of them wanting to cause trouble, it's not as much of a problem. It's not as considered that things are going to get out of hand. It hasn't been happening like that before.
No, certainly not. It does bring another dimension in, and we'll see this one out. But it does lead into this now, the fact that the whole thing is being broadcast to the world, and that is a final lovely last attack from Cheneva, and she has taken the Russians 7 points ahead at the halfway stage. Russia lead Great Britain at 15-8. So Ron, just on this this topic about now the championships being broadcast. It's not the first time they've been live streamed, but live streamed with commentary. So now the athletes are being seen a lot more. Any feedback from your countrymen in the States? Are they watching?
Yes, they're watching a lot, and they think that there's been a lot of improvements over like commentary, the videography, the replay systems. There's been a ton of improvements. It's really going to help, and it has been helping the watchability of our sport and the sort of outreach and understanding of what they're watching. And it has to happen more, and it's great that it's happening now, right? Curling is a sport that almost everyone in America has grown some liking to, and that was because after a few Winter Olympics they shoved it in our face so much that everyone's like, oh yeah, curling, like I can watch that, I get that. Even if they don't, it doesn't matter. So doing this as much as possible, having more commentating I think it's excellent, and it's really doing a lot for the sport, and I hope we continue to evolve what we do here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, and it gives me an opportunity to say we are broadening the commentary pool, which is great, and should say hello to Iris Zimmerman.
Yes.
One of the
she's a wonderful commentator.
Newest FIE commentators. I know she's done some work in the US.
She does a great job.
She's part of our team, and she's going to be commentating on a couple of Grand Prix this season at senior level.
That'll be great. She's excellent. When I've heard her before on here commentating, she does an amazing job.
Well, an Olympian, no less. So
exactly.
She
really
knows her stuff.
Yeah,
she knows her stuff. I think she'll be at the Anaheim Grand Prix in the new season, which starts very soon indeed. And I think we'll be picking things up in the Moscow Grand Prix at the end of the season. I'm sure there will be stuff in between that as well that she will be commentating on. But I hope you're enjoying Iris. Your teammates are doing really well.
She was a Penn State fencer as well. I went to Penn State, so this way.
Shout out to them. Based up in Rochester now, Rochester Fencing Club. Here back to the fencing. Myarova is on again, along with Halstead. No substitutions in this fourth leg for the gold medal and the world title of 2019 at these Veteran World Championships. Nice attack from Halstead. So if you're in this position, and fortunately we're not talking about the USA. Well, I say fortunately because it doesn't provide you with a conflict of interest. But if you are 5 hits down and you've only got 2 and a bit matches to go, what are you going to do? What's the tactic you'd employ?
Almost exactly what Halstead is doing right now, which is making conservative, controlled attacks, not going too deep, right? Leaving open the ability to take a counter or post. It's still very difficult because they can always take an action against you in a moment that will surprise you. That's the chess aspect of it. But she's doing the right kind of game, not exploding, not running. This is the right idea. If you're behind, you have to make actions, move, but you can't just blow off the line and try to rail through your opponent because you don't have the space to do that.
You're not chasing the target score anymore when you're in this position, are you? You're just trying to close that gap up.
Yes. And so you have to take your time with those touches. If you find, that you can surprise them on a quicker action and blow through and make attack remise or something along those lines, then you can go for it. But there's certainly more risk when you're behind. So being conservative like this also allows you to take down the time in case they think they have a better matchup in a latter field. But
Halstead struggling there. She's taking her time on the attack, as you're saying, Ryland, but she's just not landing the attack. The execution is what's bringing her down at the moment. And to be fair, Myarova is playing a canny game as well. She's not taking any risks. The minute she does, Halstead capitalises.
And she found a tempo against her that she was being conservative, and Myarova found a way to surprise her and punish her for her conservatism. But she's made an adjustment back, and it's been a nice little fight here. They're playing the game correctly. Hopefully she can continue to close the gap because that makes for funner watch.
Yeah, nice beat disengage there from Halstead.
She needs to stay away from those counterattacks. They have not been working.
Yeah, perhaps it's starting the counterattack from a little bit too far away. And Marova does seem to be finishing to the cart line as well. I wonder if Halstead picks that up and tries something different, perhaps with a closing action.
See, that time she's done that counterattack intention, she gets caught.
So, the team from Russia, the Russian Federation, came into that fight with a 7-hit lead. They come out of it with a 7-hit lead. Parity restored. Looks like Great Britain are bringing Amanda Baxendale back on.
Yep. I guess it's tough either way with Rodionova. It's just excellent fencer. She's been really just round all strong this entire competition.
But I've been watching all the teams, and we followed Great Britain against USA in the semi-finals, and there's a lot of chit-chat between all the teams, and I noticed particularly with Great Britain, they are giving each other instruction on what to do next, and having had the experience of fencing just 2 fights ago, she's perhaps come back out with a slightly different tactic, having had a chat with her teammates, and rather use someone who knows what she's doing than not.
It's absolutely helpful, but it's difficult when, she has a very fundamental thing. She does love that counterattack and close out the waist. That's actually a favorite action of many lefties in general. I would video that if I was Britain, but
I think I'd agree with you there, but referee's given that, and Baxendale hasn't called for that.
Ooh, nice attack. So it's something that happens a lot, just the pace of the bout, their focus, maybe just like you said, they had a plan in her mind already, and that action wasn't necessarily what the plan was initially, and so even though the call might have been, not correct, they're still so focused that they don't use their video. It's actually a mistake that I've been seeing made consistently throughout the competition.
Well, don't forget this is the first time that they've had the video referral system.
That's true, that's
and
fair.
A couple of them would come off and said, why did I get that?
Oh yeah, I forgot I could use it.
Why didn't you call the video?
Yeah.
And of course it does. And I've heard one of the teams who was saying,
US I was so frustrated.
We were shouting at you, saying video, 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 and he turned around and said, I didn't know what you meant.
Yeah. What does that mean, video?
But they've also seen as well the other side of it, and that's why the video referral system is such a good tool, not just for the fencers, but also for the referees, but from a fencer's perspective, knowing when to use it, because I've seen some fencers burn their video referrals here a lot more than you see on the senior circuit.
It's also adds strategy, because some of the fencers use it literally for a break. Like they burn it on purpose. They're just like, I need a breath, Ended up getting another yellow for that covering target. It's interesting. It's a fun aspect. I think it's something that all sports have the challenge of availability, right? So I think it's something that it's great that we have. Yeah,
I think it's one of the best developments in.
See, it's interesting. So neither team is even considering. Well, Great Britain's not even thinking about challenging at all. Like there is no dissent at all on this touch, which is interesting.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you on the first one. That I would probably say that it's got a half chance, that one before of being overturned, but the one before that, I'm with you.
There's one thing you always got to watch out for, and that's this body language from Rodionova, and she does tend to do it, is when that shoulder starts twisting. Generally, the intention is a counterattack. As soon as the intention is counterattack, if there's 2 lights, it's not going to be your right of way.
Well, final action given us off target there from our referee.
I believe that's correct.
Swad Magaray from Jordan. It's been a busy man today.
Absolutely. And good referee. All of us make mistakes. No one's perfect. I certainly make mistakes. I know that. But that's the game. You have your videos, It's something I think I didn't actually. I completely forgot to realize that this is the first time that they're using videos for this. So
it does add a sort of interesting dimension to it that the fencers aren't used to it, and perhaps didn't even know before they came here that they were going to have use of the video. but it's how you adapt, and of course the teams are here. The way that they've split this championships up is we've kind of had all the sabre competitions now. They overlap with foil, and the foilists will finish up tomorrow with the men's team competition. We've got all the individual gold medal matches coming up here.
The team will be exciting, I'm sure, yeah.
And then we move on to the épée matches. So it's sort of a 2.5-3 day turnaround for the weapons here. Yeah. They've got time to share the information. Don't forget, you can use your video.
That's true, yeah. Oh, yes. That would be something that they... but I think you're right in the aspect that they're having the conversation. They're more likely talking about their strategy up against each fencer, as opposed to, oh, wait, we got to use video more. I think that's how, amiss this is, how new this is, which is great, though.
Well, we start the last leg here. The Russians have built up a big lead already, and they've played a blinding game throughout the day, as you said, Ryland. They've been the form team, and will, by the looks of things, be deserving winners. Great Britain have done well. They've scored more points, almost double the points that Italy scored in the semi-finals, but just not quite in the game with these Russian.
With all the discussion, I don't think they currently have an answer against this Russian team.
Just a stronger team, and they've deservedly walking their way to the top spot on the podium. And Anderson just running in to Chanova.
It's interesting. I've noticed that happens a little bit more on this final piece, because when they, usually when fencers flesh, they take an angle to avoid that collision. But if they take an angle in this one, they have to jump off the beast.
Yeah, and
for veterans, that's another concern.
Yeah, it's a little high as well for anybody, let alone veterans.
Well, it's also important that the strip is high. It minimizes the chance of fencers hitting off to the side on the floor. Just other little variables that we want to cut out. So a raised strip is definitely the way to go.
Well, it's a battling Anderson here, trying to finish for Great Britain on a high, with their heads held high.
You never give up, right? There's always that chance as well that you learn one useful tactic or thing that can be used in the next World Championship.
Yeah, and well, with the new Veterans European circuit, might not be. They have to wait 1 year for the next World Championships. There's now a circuit that the Europeans, the Veterans Europeans, are competing on, and new tournaments being added every day. I heard here that there's going to be one at the Leon Paul Centre in London. Sorry, that's not true. It's going to be at the Guildford Surrey Sports Park complex, a big, beautiful sports complex just west of London in January. So they may well see each other before the World Championships next year.
Well, even better, right? Keep us busy. Keep you busy. And the more events, the more we can show the public, how beautiful and intelligent and exhilarating this sport is.
Yeah, and it certainly is very televisual, that's for sure.
I love the updates with the lighting and everything. I think it's absolutely just adds to the visual aspect of the sport.
Well, we said it right the way through. They looked commanding right from the off. The Russian Federation are the world champions of the women's team foil here in Cairo. They'll be standing on top of the podium as world champions in 2019. Well, look, we're going to take a very short break, Ryan, here, but can I interest you in coming back for the men's foil individual gold medal matches?
I'd love to. I'm super excited to see these guys fence.
We'll be back very soon for 3 more gold medal matches here in Cairo.